What's up, motherfuckers? Two former world champions have come back to the world of chess to play a match of Fischer Ramdom mode, like freestyle chess, who nowadays was told. And Kasparov and Anand was playing in San Luis. Yesterday they start, so I'm analyzing the games of the match. That's the third round. It's a pleasure, of course, to can see again. Uh, again, I only watched Anand play live, but I never saw Kasparov playing live, so only rapid tournaments. So the few times that he plays is for me a pleasure, of course, to can see Kasparov playing live. Okay, so let's start with the game. I made another video analyzing the only the starting position, so I'm not going to comment anything about the starting position. Okay, let's analyze the game. Okay, here Anand open with e4. Okay, I made a video analyzing the full opening, but okay, he wants to control the center, and Kasparov came with e6, trying to respond with d5, like a French defense, d4, d5, and here, okay, I was analyzing that it takes d5 and bishop b4 was better move, but okay, this is not an opening analyzing, so knight c3, d takes, knight takes. But okay, this is not a video to analyze the opening, but I want to comment a little bit that here, just bishop b4, attacking the rook, and after knight e7 takes and rook e1, slightly better for white. You can reach this position maybe with it takes d5, but black here have bishop b5. Okay, knight c3, like a French defense. D takes c4, knight takes c4, and here Kasparov choose bishop c6. So logical move, attacking the knight. And here came the first problem to Anand, because white only have one move to fight for advantage. With the rest of the move, black is better, or at least equal. Anand choose f3 with a mistake, because you are closing so much your h1 bishop. In freestyle, and okay, in Fischer Ramdom, you normally you should open your bishop principally in the opening, and place 2 pawns in front of the bishop, and a knight can be a little bit strange. Apart in the first move, I was analyzing g4. This was my favorite move. So open the bishop, and now Anand is totally closing his bishop. What other option have white? G3 is not possible because f5, and the h1 bishop is hanging. Knight c3 can look normal, but just simply knight f6 developing the knight, and black is fine here. You can see that black have no problems. And the only move to fight for the advantage was queen d3. Defending the knight and developing the queen. Knight f6, g3, defending the knight, and after this trade, the position is more or less equal, but queen d3 was the only fighting move. So after f3, the problem is that the h1 bishop was also bad. And for that reason, Kasparov should react more or less fast, because you made 4 moves with black without nothing happen. White is going to play knight 2, knight c3, g4, bishop g3, and in one moment f4, and white is fine. And cool, that's what happened in the game. So for that reason, sorry, f3, here g6 was so interesting. You're attacking the d4 pawn, and after knight e4 you have e5, breaking the center. Bishop c3, f5, knight c5, and just rook e8, and here. The straight can be possible, and black is fine here, because the h1 bishop was also bad, and white is going to need some tempos to activate the bishop. Okay, another possible move for black was, sorry, f3. Another possible move was f5. D5 was possible too. This time open the bishop. Knight g7 was a little bit slowly. I don't like this move. So he goes to f5, but after g4, this knight is going to go back to d6. So this plan have no so much sense. for me, for the machine, says more or less the same. Okay, Anand plays queen d3, and here Kasparov, okay, he reacts with g6, who is good, and open the bishop. f5 can be responded with knight c5, and so g6 was good, castle. And here comes another mistake of Kasparov. Here he should play f5. Knight g5, just queen d7, and sacrifice the a7 pawn. Now black has so much activity. Besides, the huge counterplay of black was the h1 bishop. Okay, this knight now was misplaced on on a7. He needs tempos to come back, and I'm not really sure if in g5 is making so much the knight. But the problem of knight d5 is that black is not making nothing. He's not moving pawns and he's not breaking. And like I told, if white have like some moves, white is going to be better after stabilize his position. Here white plays knight d2, defending the d4 pawn, queen e7, and now g4. And now white is making all the plan that I said before. Came with the knight to c3, no castle, g4 and bishop g3, and white is fine. And in one moment f4 open the h1 bishop. Knight d6, this part of the game Anand plays so well. Bishop g3, castle, so castle, knight c3, knight a6, a3, rook d8, takes, f4. For the moment Anand was playing so well. And here knight c7 was not so good. Was stronger to play or take on h1 and followed by f5, entering in this line, or so of course white is better, but it's not so much, or just f5 dearly. The problem in knight c7 is that it's a little bit slow because after h4, here h5 was worse because here white have h5. And what's more important, the tempo of can play h5 than the tempo of black when playing knight c7. But what happened is that Anand doesn't play h5. Here Anand makes a huge mistake, positional mistake, who is g5. Let's analyze if h5 iteratively. For example, if f take g4, you can simply take on g6, and this is totally clear that white has the advantage, of course. The black pawn is also weak. Okay, if d5, simply bishop f3, improving the pieces, and then rook h1 is coming, and the attack in the h file and is so huge. And apart, white is going to trade many pawns in front of the black king. And for example, if g takes h5, take on h5 or take on f5 was possible, but here the strongest move was d5. Open everything. Let's see how safe was the c1 king and how unsafe was the j8 king. So d5 was winning. For example, bishop c3, just queen c3, or if he takes here, just trade everything. And this king was so open. So here white have these chances to convert. But after g5, so strange move, because with white you have the advantage in the king side. I think that you should attack the king. You are castle long side, and your opponent is castle short, so you should attack your opponent's king. The idea of Anand with g5 was like um, blockade the square for this bishop, and be the h8 piece of a bad piece, but that's not the plan. Here he should play in a attacking style. g5. Okay, Kasparov react well with d5 because if not, white is playing d5. d5 would move. Here h5. And here Kasparov makes another strange decision in my opinion. He plays h5. I don't understand. Sorry, he takes on h5. I don't really understand so well this move. Maybe he doesn't want to allow h6 and finally fucking this bishop forever, but if you are able to create something in the queen side, this bishop is no so problematic. And apart, he's attacking the d4 pawn. Maybe if was a pawn on e5, this bishop is completely dead. But with the d4 pawn here and the black attack in the queen side, black have so much counterplay for this bad bishop on J, who is attacking d4. So I don't know why Kasparov here doesn't attack a5. Was the another idea? Rook a8 was possible too, but because look that uh, the black king now after e5 was more or less safe. After simply h take e6, simply retake with the pawn, and look that black is have no huge problem with his king. So for that reason, b5 was the move, knight a2, and here a5 for example. The problem of a5 here, sorry, is queen c3. So, but black have this idea before, and taking the rook. But here the machine is equal, and in practical game I prefer white here because have one pawn and sorry, one pawn and a knight and a bishop, sorry, for the rook. But the h8 bishop now I doesn't like anything because h6 is coming, c3 is stopping the bishop. Because before with the pawn on b7, you can in one moment break on b4 and break the white pawn chains to open this bishop. But now without a pawn on the b5, here the machine is equal, but I prefer white in the practical. But a5 was maybe here the best move. Okay, Kasparov take on h5 is not so bad, but I don't like this move. Okay, bishop f3 normal. Here again, Kasparov should attack just the king and forgive the h pawn. b5, bishop takes, and just like a5. And here, for example, it's h6. Yes. Or b4 was always good here. Okay, bishop e8, defending the pawn, rook h1, and that's the Kasparov idea. Place the bishop on g6 to defend the king. Okay, here Anand can take. But okay, 92 was good. 92. Yes, I'm sorry, 92. 98. The idea of 92 was play bishop b1 and bishop b4. That's the idea behind 92. And for that reason, Kasparov plays 98 to go to d6 to cover the pin, and apart to go to e4 with the knight, of course. Let's see that both players improve their pieces because the e2 knight is not making nothing on c3. The correct square for the c3 knight was the square e5. So the route to go to e5 was maybe e2, d1, f3, e5. And the c7 knight, sorry, the c7 knight should go to d6 and e4. So the plan was 97, 96, and 94. And apart the b3, the g3 bishop, sorry, should go to e4 on g3 is not making nothing. Now the position is close, so the piece maneuvers are so important at this moment. Okay, let's continue. G6, sorry, yes, bishop g6, 92, 98, bishop e1. Now Anand improves his bishop, going to e4, queen c7, leaving the attack of b4. And finally Anand take the h5 pawn, and bishop g7, a small improvement of the bishop, logical move, of course. The bishop on g7 was better than on h8 to can escape with the king for many things. In one moment can go to f8. It's always about improve the pieces. And here Anand choose king b1. Okay, it's not a bad move, but I don't really like so much. I was analyzing queen e3 first. After king f7, I was thinking about knight g1. But okay, here black have rook c8. Another move that I like when I saw was rook d3 to defend rook c8 with rook c3. And bishop b4 was good too. Was the move that the machine likes. That's the solution of the machine. Rook c8, c3, knight d6, knight g1, rook f8, and simply take and knight f3. Was so good for white. And bishop b4 was sorry. Bishop b4 was interesting too. That's the machine recommendation here. Bishop b4, okay, knight d6 obvious. And now queen h3, and trying to enter on h7 and with the rook on h6. That's what the machine do. Queen h7 and and rook h6 with huge advantage. The move king b1, okay, it's not bad. Of course, the king was better on c1 than on b1 than on c1. It's a good improvement move, but I don't really like. I thought that the position needs more more speed. Okay, a5, good move by Kasparov, avoiding bishop b4, queen e3, and here Kasparov plays king f7, well, defending f7 and leaving the king side, who is so dangerous. Knight g1, again improving the knight to go to f3 and e5, rook c8, and here, sorry, here Anand made a so strange move in my opinion. Here he played queen c1. I don't like this move. I don't like to have a queen defending a pawn. Was better. I was thinking about rook c1, but the machine say that here rook d2 or c3 was better moves. Sorry. Yes, I don't understand why Alan plays. Sorry, I don't understand why Alan plays queen c1. Simply, I just don't understand. But okay, see. In my opinion, was a so strange move. Plays the queen on c1 defending the c2 pawn. But okay, queen c1. Now Kasparov was good again in the game, 96. Here, knight f3 was more logical, trying to go to e5. It's strange because white is taking all his pieces back. Now white have all his pieces in the first rank except one bishop. So strange. Of course, the bishop is well on e1, but and the knight is going to go to f3. But the piece that I don't like on the first rank was the queen. I prefer the queen on first rank and just this pawn on c3 defending or the rook on d2. But I just don't really like the queen on c1 defending a pawn. b5, well, knight f3. Finally, he gains. 98. Here, I was watching the commentaries of San Luis, Maurice Ashley, and I don't remember the name of the other, Sirawan, Sirawan, and they become so strange. They become so surprised with the move bishop takes c5. But in my opinion, was a normal move. Of course, king j8 was possible too, but in my opinion, bishop takes c5 was normal. D takes and you enter on e4 with the knight. I think that this was so normal for black. Rook d3 before a4. Here was better play king g8 first, defending h7. Because what happened that after rook fc8, Kasparov missed this move. Rook dh3. Okay, again, king g8 was slightly better, but okay, he plays king e8, and after bishop a6, he should go back to d8 with the rook, and you can never go back with the rook when you are attacking. So I saw in the streaming that Kasparov put a disappointment face after he saw bishop a6. Okay, queen d1, finally leaving the fucking square of c1 with the idea of play queen d4, rook d7, queen d4, queen c6. Great, sacrificing the exchange and two in Kasparov style. Great move, and Anand go for it. Bishop b5. Now Kasparov sacrifice the exchange, rook takes, pawn takes, queen b5. And now let's analyze the position. Let's stop in the position because white have won the exchange, but black have a knight and a pawn for the rook. And what a knight, a so strong knight. And the g6 bishop is of course a no active piece, it's a piece so passive, but it's defending h7, who was important. Here the position was equal more or less. But in the practical, maybe it was better black because you are attacking in the queen side with a4, rook b7, b3, or a3, bishop e2. And here Kasparov played the natural move rook b7, but was better to place the rook on c7. But okay, Of course, Kasparov plays rook b7 to stop queen b6 with the threat. The threat. But rook c7 have the idea of if queen b6, you have queen c4, and maybe in a rapid game you stop to calculate after queen b6 because you saw that your opponent is trading your queens and is taking on e6 with check. But after queen e6, simply king f8 and white have no more checks. And now black is attacking on f2 and on c2. So interesting the rook c7. And a4 was sorry. If a4 was a possibility. But okay, white can trade queen, who is what white want. Rook b7, not bad. Here b3 was better. Was the move who refuted rook b7. Rook d1. Here a4 was slightly better. And now maybe white plan was defend with bishop e1. I am not so clear how black can still attacking the king. Okay, rook d1. But here Kasparov misunderstood a little bit the position. Like here the position wants a4 and try to attack. And here he goes with queen e1, trying smooth. And after bishop e1, I don't know who is the Kasparov idea. Okay, for example, bishop h5 is possible, but here just rook c1. But here a4 or b3 are the moves of the position. But he plays queen g4, a bad move, trying to repeat, but just after rook h4, queen e2 again. But here why not repeat? Why here can play queen d3, a strong move, trailing queens and having a small advantage because the principal idea of the black position was attack the white king. Now the black king was safe, but in an endgame the material is going to be important. Queen d3. Here the material recommend take here followed by knight c5. But okay, Kasparov doesn't want to give this change in the pawn structure to Anand. Bishop h5, rook c1, knight c5, queen e2, bishop e2, bishop f4, knight d4, and here, sorry, here Anand plays, okay, bishop e3 was good. For example, in rook e1 you can play just bishop f3, but okay, bishop e3 was good, d4, and here Anand make a huge mistake and he plays more or less fast this move. Okay, he cannot take here because knight d2 and knight f3. And him blunder with rook e1 who have the problem of bishop d4 and you still cannot take on d4 because knight d2 and knight f3 attacking three white pieces. So after rook e1 bishop g4 white goes back to c1 and now black is with huge counterplay again. But the winning move here was rook h2 defending the d2 square and there are no more double attacks. So now if you simply leave with the bishop, you can take the pawn and white is winning. If you take here, rook takes e2 and white is winning too because the e3 pawn is going to be fall. Going to fall, sorry. But after rook e1 bad move, bishop g4, great. White should go back to c1. Here, Kasparov, here the game was equal again and Kasparov failed again. It was better to play knight c5 to attack with the knight, play b3, d3. Instead of that, Kasparov goes to g3 with the knight. Maybe the idea of knight g3, sorry, is avoid rook h1 simply. Maybe after knight c5, he doesn't like a move like rook f1, but what happened here that black have bishop f3, and then b3 is coming, so the knight was good on c5. But okay, knight g3 was so logical, of course, avoiding rook h1, rook e1, knight e2, rook h1 finally, bishop f3, rook 1 h3, bishop e4. And here Anand makes well making a draw because if you with white tries to win this position with rook h7 after rook take and b3, you are in huge problem with white. Maybe here black is winning. For example, rook c7 you cannot defend him like this because just take and if rook takes just a4 and white is in sub one. So yes, white black is simply just winning here. Okay, and For that reason, Anand make a good move to make a draw who was b3. Let's analyze that b6 will can make a draw more or less similar. Sorry, with double rooks, no, just like playing rook a2 was equal, but b3 was a great move because after rook c7 more or less forced. You just take here, take, and now read repetition. Check, check, and of course you cannot play to win because you are going to lose your rook by rook c8. So what's a game? I really enjoy. First in the opening looks like Kasparov was better in the move 5. Then after f3 then Anand reached a great position with opposite sides castles. And here Anand make a ground plan with f5 and here Kasparov was better again, was equal again. Then after takes Anand takes advantage and here after some maneuvers, interesting. The game has everything. Good maneuvers, positional play, exchange sacrifice. The game was completely amazing. My favorite game of the match for this moment. Before here we have sorry, a exchange sacrifice which was great to see and finally ending all with a three repetition. I really enjoy the game. So that's the first round. I'm going to analyze here the rest of the yesterday game. So let's stay focused and keep an eye to my following videos. So because I'm going to analyze the rest of the match, which is 12 games. So I hope that you like the game. So nothing more. Bye bye.